Welcome, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, right. So
Where are we?
Yeah, welcome to Portland, Oregon, to the Jamiat 2018. When Shabda asked if the Portland community would be open to hosting this gathering, we met and said with a resounding yes, we would love to do that. And then we set about the task of deciding how we wish to focus this weekend together. And we have been holding the focus of love warriorship for the past year and a half, about year and a half that we've been convening and holding this concentration. And so I wanted to give you a chance to hear from me and from Shabda what that means to us. So as you may have noticed, we're in a tumultuous time in the world right now on a lot of different levels. And the task that we are being asked to do is to step into the truth of this lineage, the truth of the message, and embody the notions of love, harmony, and beauty in ways that allow us to bring the message of Hazrat Inayat Khan and those who came before him into the world in ways that bring transformation. So the practices and the activities that we imagine engaging over the course of the weekend together are ones that we hope will inspire us, strengthen our resolve. Thank you. Is there any way to turn this mic differently?
Where's
it's really
Ryan?
loud.
It's a good volume. Ryan, are you on the board?
Got it.
Okay, who's else? Who's on the board?
Right, it's over there.
Oh, it's there. I misunderstood. Okay, so one thing that we'll do is you've got
Okay.
the mics way out here. If you bend
Okay.
it so that it's right into more on your face. Like,
Oh, yeah. I just put it up my nose.
There-
The quality changes considerably. Where was I?
Love, harmony, and
Love,
beauty.
harmony, and beauty. Yeah. Love warriors. Right. So, so that's what we're going to be examining this weekend together through the practices and the tradition that we share. And I look forward to learning from all of you and sharing in the richness of our teachings. That's sort of a start.
Okay.
It's really scary.
Oh
It's like a
my
spider.
God, it's a spider. It's a friendly spider.
No such thing.
So happy to be here, and I feel like I was just here a couple weeks ago this summer. Yeah, so happy to be with so many friends. Life has been grand. Been traveling around. We just came back, several of us came back from Colombia. We were with some 200 people. I would say most of them under age 35. You could put this up a little louder than I can talk softer. One of my favorite quotes of Hazrat Inayat Khan, a little less. The work of the Sufi has nothing to do with any particular religion or race or creed or philosophy, but he says just this simple thing, to be able to keep one's rhythm throughout life's conditions and to be in tune with the infinite. Then he goes on to say, we believe that if the world would change to what we just now want, we would be happy. But he says, he goes on to say, this is an inexperienced expectation. So somehow we have to find the paradox between these two edges. One, to find happiness, which is eternal, which is our true nature, but which will allow us to be the most beneficial warriors possible. There's no question that the most benefit you can be is from a point of view of limitless freedom. So on the one hand, our lineage practice and the approaches we're taking are very much lined up with warriorship. And then on the other hand, we are in a reasonably wonky moment in our historical unfolding. There's been lots of wonky moments before, and there's many more to come. Wonky, you like that? Yeah. It's really wonky. You know, integrity's gone out the door. Words have no meaning. Everyone says whatever they want to say to gain advantage. True benefit. Who cares about that? Self-aggrandizement seems to be the current coin, you know. And me first. And definitely our spiritual practices are all about moving from selfish to selfless, you know, because we recognize all of our suffering comes from the notion of being a separate self. And that our assignment is to deconstruct this adapted notion we've made. That I can't say we because it's the I of all, you know, the essence of all has made this adaptation in you, thinking, oh, now I'm separate. The ocean got confused and thinks, oh, I'm a separate. And then that's where the root of all of our suffering, because you're not going to be separate that long. The wave falls back into the ocean and oops, what you thought is dissolved. I'm part of a group that's formed over the last 5 years through one of the senior leaders in the Sufi movement named Murshid Karim Baksh. He's now 97, but I think when he was 92 or 93, he felt an impulse to call together Sufi peers or Sufi leaders from around the world who could hold hands on the principle of universality, that the message of God, the message of Sufism, especially as the Sufi leaders, the message of Sufism was completely universal. Had nothing, it wasn't bound by any religious form, by any form whatsoever. It had to do with the destination. And, we often confuse the vehicle to get somewhere and the destination. So here was our destination. What's this place called? The Masonic Lodge. I came in a Toyota. So I was part of the Toyota religion. How many of you are in Toyota religion? Okay, fellow Toyotas. Okay, who's in the Ford religion? Who's in the Subaru religion? Who's in the Honda religion?
Hondanians.
Oh, the Acura religion. Oh, yes, yeah. But who's in the Tesla religion? Or the electric car religion? But in order to get to the Masonic Lodge, we had to get out of our religions. We arrived at a destination. Even that metaphor, it's only partially good, but it gives you a sense that religion is meant to be that which connects you with essence, with source, with God. It's not the destination. And certainly I think one of the worst diseases our society has today is we're more interested in what someone believes than who they are. I mean, how foolish is that? If you believe, you're in. If you don't believe, you're out. Or But in any case, this group formed, back to the Universal Sufi Council, and we met in Istanbul. Turkish, Pakistani, Ghana, Nigeria, India, Afghanistan, California.
Places like that.
Yeah, like that. It was a very lovely group of people. We had a beautiful meeting, Istanbul, go there, you're gonna have a good time anyway. And the second year, now there was Zen Roshi, a Tibetan master, a Sephardic rabbi, an archbishop, a distinguished Swami. By the third year, I don't know, I can't get the year straight, so don't worry about that too much, but we went on a pilgrimage. We thought we should go on a pilgrimage together, and we went to India, and naturally, because it's Murshid Karim sponsoring, we went to Hazrat Inayat Khan's tomb and to Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti's tomb. But, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, the head imam from India was with us, some very beautiful swamis, a big influence. Oh, and by then, I'm sorry to say, I left out, we added scientists in, because now we felt we wanted to have a practical outreach, and so we had some beautiful water scientists and engineers from Holland, because our seed came from Holland, from Murshid Karimbash. So we had water projects of purifying the Ganges and purifying some of the water sources in Delhi by the Sufi shrines. And then we added educators. Samior was with us from the Hope Project, and one woman, this woman is spectacular. Her name is Fakira Naqib. She's from Pakistan. She's in her 40s. Her family owned radio stations. So they designed, she had the designers design a very simple, resilient radio, that would run on battery, something you could beat up and it would still work. And they gave it to classrooms all over rural Pakistan, especially with the idea of educating young girls. And they promised that they would provide the first hour of content every day in the classroom. And now she's reaching 150,000 students every morning.
Wow.
Yeah, and with Sufi content, or you could say loving kindness and compassion content. So with love warrior content. And she's making an extraordinary difference. And there's no question that it's very easy for, as an individual, to feel like, what can I do? I'm so, it's too infinitesimal. So luckily now we're 100 people, so now it feels like, ooh, we've got some power. And so on this pilgrimage in India, we decided we would try to write a text that would bring out the core meaning of human behavior. And we called it the Peace Pledge. The Peace Pledge. And then so now we moved from the Universal Sufi Council, which no longer has meaning because it's not Sufi. I mean, it's Sufi in the way we understand Sufi, but it's not Sufi in the way the world understands Sufi. So now we're the Peace Pledge Project, going on Peace Pledge pilgrimages. Going to beautiful places in the world to bring attention to loving kindness and compassion. And I should say too that we also, okay, first I'll read you
Pledge.
the pledge. See if you like it. So it says, the peace pledge to live loving kindness and compassion. It starts out, the journey of life is a pilgrimage, beautiful qualities are a compass. Intending to advance peace and harmony in our personal lives and in the world, we affirm the following. We commit to treat all lives with loving kindness and compassion. We reject the distortions of religious, national, and racial prejudice which are used to violate the golden rule to treat others as we wish to be treated. We respect the diversity of ways people pursue their individual ideals. We challenge the misuse of beliefs, rites, rituals, practices, philosophies, and traditions used to degrade anyone or which lead to violence. We affirm the necessity of bringing love and kindness and compassion into action. Through such actions, we seek to improve the relationships of people, one nation to another, one religion to another, one belief system to another, one gender to another, one race to another, one person to another. We call upon all people of goodwill to join this pledge. We pledge that in all we intend to think, we pledge that in all we intend, think, and do, we shall strive to bring loving kindness and compassion into action and into the lives of all we meet. You like it? Yeah. After the India pilgrimage, to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the relationship between the Netherlands and India, we went to the International Peace Palace at The Hague, which was last September, and now we added politicians and business people. And the business people, there were some very distinguished business people, and one of them, I think, had a very worthwhile movement that he was leading, which we should take our consideration, called the circle economy. He was a business CEO and made a lot of money, then started this, what we would call a nonprofit. I don't know what they call it in the Netherlands, but called the circle economy. And it's based on the principle that nature, the cycle of nature, has no waste, right? There's no waste product in nature, correct? Or so now apply that for him, since it was business, apply that to every business. And so they're there to help every business make sure that they have no waste in the stream of their activities, whether it's production, management, advertising, marketing, and so on. So because there's no question that the waste product of one is the resource for another. That's been added into our pilgrimage. And our next pilgrimage is happening in June. And we're going to two places, to Greenland. Did you ever hear of Greenland? I had kind of had before I knew we were going.
It's where Björk is from.
Is it?
Iceland.
He's from Iceland.
She. I thought she was.
It's close.
They.
She's actually from outer space, but
Iceland is green and Greenland is icy. That's the one thing we did learn in school. Did you learn that? Iceland is green and Greenland is icy. So Greenland has two really important aspects that we can build on. One is that there hasn't been a war there. So it's a continent or a land where there's never been a war. But without question, if you go to Greenland, I think for any human being there will go and see the effect of human activity, which is putting our climate and our life in peril, because the ice is melting. It's disappearing, right? And its disappearance means that you're going to be living on oceanfront property, in Portland. You think that? How soon would that be? No, I don't think so.
They're claiming pretty soon.
Oh, yeah.
October?
I remember in the 80s, a group of people left California because Arizona was going to be where the ocean was. But now it's actually, so I think the principle for us to go there is not only to support the native culture, the indigenous culture, but to bear witness that each of us, every living being, every human being on this planet needs to make a commitment to become an earth steward. And so that's one of my goals for our weekend, for us to, I don't want to describe what that means in terms of your actions. I think we will discuss that, but I think very powerfully we can become earth stewards in our heart. And there's no question to me too that the central most important activity of an earth steward is loving kindness and compassion, or whatever placeholder words you want to put there for enlightened action, enlightened activity, beneficial action, selfless action, and so on.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah. So that's kind of where I want us to look at many of us have been in this path 40, 50 years, 30 years. How many have been in 40 years? Yeah, look at this. Amazing. 30 years. Yeah. And so on. So it's not that naturally we can look at the practices so we reinvigorate our inspiration and our fire for the goal. But I want to, and I think both of us would like to use the lens of earth stewardship in our heart, and how that relates to our job as a lineage stream, as carriers of the message. So here we go.
Good, we got you going. We got you excited.
So the examples that Shabda gave, the inspiring examples of how people have stepped into their agency and their capacity to inspire others, is a great reminder that we all have different places that we feel drawn to bring our attention. And so some of us are going to be more drawn towards the ecology of the world, the environment, and others of us may be drawn to struggles within humanity. And I think it's really important to recognize that there's no prescription of how we bring that love warriorship through and where we find opportunities in our lives to encourage love, harmony, and beauty. There's nothing too small to make a difference. There's a lot of things too large, however, and when we start thinking that we have to do everything that needs to be done, what happens? And we don't do anything, do we? When we're overwhelmed, it's impossible. So part of what I'm hoping that we do this weekend is touch into the places where we do feel that we can bring the message through, because based on who we are and where our inspiration hits and what opportunities we have, we'll probably have 100 different ways of bringing love warriorship through, or of
125.
125 different ways by tomorrow. So that earth stewardship may look like spending time with children, or might look like feeding homeless, or it might look like educating children in
Absolutely.
the Middle East. I mean,
That's the secret right there.
And-
Forget the other things, let's do that.
but I think that it's important to recognize that there's no way for any one of us to do everything, and that is a recipe for us to do nothing. And this tradition is a tradition. Hazrat Inayat Khan came to this country at a time when there was segregation, there was a lack of openness to Eastern culture. It wasn't romanticized like it is, today. There was less receptivity to the message that he was bringing through. He had to change his course dramatically from what he envisioned bringing to this country and find the openings. It's like the song that I tried to bring through tonight. It's like everywhere I go searching for the flow. It's like some things open up for us and some things don't. And Hazrat Inayat Khan came to this country thinking that he was going to be a musician, and finding that that wasn't the opening that he was met with, right? So he had to recalibrate and search for where the opening was and retool himself to respond to that opening. And based on the experiences that we all bring into our lives, and Inayat Khan talked about it as the art of being and becoming, or the art of personality. Not who our personality is, but how that situates us in particular ways to have an impact or to have an effect. And being receptive to those openings so that we can respond in ways that make a difference. So I'm hoping we can touch into those individual inspirations that we all have.
Yeah, I want to add a few more things.
I see that. And you're sparkly.
Yeah, there's a lot of paradigms we want to shift. Certainly gender equality, or to overcome the idea of gender being, a separating value, a divisive value. And especially, I think we're really especially in an age where we want to uplift the feminine in our languaging, in our business model, in every way. In the long run, we should be, I don't want to say gender blind, but inspired by every gender, but especially uplifting women and their position. And so this year, this February, Murshida Leila and I led a pilgrimage to Anayat's Urs and Sufi activities in India, and we decided to begin our pilgrimage in a fresh way. It's different than I had before. And so I should tell you that when Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti came from, so our lineage is called Chishtiya, or our lineage root comes from Mother India. And in the 13th century, there was a great master named Khwaja. Khwaja means like master, Moinuddin Chishti. And he came from what's now Afghanistan, settled in India, and brought this universal message of Sufism. It was completely universal. And in fact, he was a disciple of a master named Usman Haruni. He was a young boy. And Usman Haruni said to his Muslim disciples, today I'm going to the Kali temple to make prayers to Kali. And they all thought he flipped his lid. And they all deserted him except for this one 15-year-old boy, Khwaja Chishti. So that's right in the root of our lineage stream. You know, love to all, malice to none is his, signature. And when he traveled with a woman named Fatima, or now she's known as Bibi Fatima Sam. That's her name, Bibi Fatima Sam. And he asked her to stay in Delhi. And at that time it was jungle, and some of you have stayed at the hotel where I stayed in Sundarnagar, Lhasa Gita. So it's literally 5 minutes walk. Her dargah, her shrine, 5 minutes walk from our place. And she protected the area. She had a Kanka there, many other women, Khalifas, and they were all disciples of Baba Farid. She and Hazrat Nizamuddin Auliya, and they had a senior circle, like we have our merchant circle, they had a senior circle. One of the men in the senior circle went to Baba Farid, their common teacher, and said, "How could you have a woman in our circle?" And he said, when the lion is coming out of the jungle, you have to run. You don't have time to ask if it's a man or a woman, if it's a male or a female. And so she became known as the Lioness of Delhi. Her shrine is very peaceful. So we decided to go there first. That was how we began our pilgrimage. I'd gone there the day before. One of my murids who lives in India helped me, and we met with the Qadim who was there, and he had bought us, we gave him money, bought us tons of rose petals, and a big chadar, a big tomb cover that we could all put down together, and he bought sweets, and it was a very kind of romantic visit. We went there the whole group, and I had Rashida Layla lead us so the women would be in front. He started, we said, tell us some stories. And so he didn't know the story I just told you, but he was telling us other stories about her. And then he's going around and he says, I see her so often in my dream, and she looks just like her, I don't know, Trish from Hawaii, who was partly from Alaska. What's her Sufi name? Big, tall lady. What's her name, Sufi name? You know what I mean? No, I know her. Yeah. She's 6 feet tall, sorry. Swallow some water. Okay? And he's crying, he's sobbing. But we went there. I went there a week or two later after our work was over with Zuleika, and we sat again with the Qadim, the tomb keeper. And so he said, he gave us this as a gift. This is a chadar from her tomb, and still smells like India. So it's just going to be here during the retreat, so you could put it on your lap or put it around your shoulders or whatever. And for me, when I go there, aside from just communing with her as a spirit of guidance, but also a place to make prayers for limitless freedom for all women in all realms, And so you can do with it as you like. So I want to invite that, and also put that into our love warrior. Some of us, that's going to be our battle cry in a good way, for benefit. Okay, what do we need to tell them about the week, and the rhythm of things? Do you want to take that on?
Sure.
Okay, here, Kuan Yin. You give that to Kuan Yin.
So Ananda Mariam and Kalama made some copies of sort of a rough draft of what our schedule is going to look like for the weekend. We'll be convening in the mornings at 9 o'clock, and Rahmana said there will be coffee wherever she is. So,
You mean before,
inshallah.
at like at 8:30 there'd be coffee, you mean?
Presumably. She said 9 o'clock, but I'm sure she meant 8:30.
Well, do you want us to begin at 9? Is that the idea? What's your,
We'll gather at 9 and start at 9:15, I think, is what the expectation is. Come and get a cup of coffee, which you won't drink in the sanctuary, but you will have an opportunity to enjoy upstairs.
or they can get those sealed
Or you
cups,
can
yeah.
bring a closed container. And we will have a morning session of dances and practices, and then we have wonderful cooks to share a prepared lunch for you on Friday and Saturday. So we'll take a break for lunch and prepare a lunch for you. We don't expect to have this hot weather continue through the weekend, for better or for worse. Yeah, you'll be missing it by tomorrow when it's 30 degrees colder and raining.
meet Oregon.
Right. And then dinner is on your own from 5 to 7. We have a 2-hour dinner break, and Keith Zahir, I think, made a wonderful list right there of local restaurants and places that you can find food for the dinner break. And then Friday night we'll have a dance meeting with our local dance leaders, sharing a variety of dances from a variety of circles. Ohura Grace will be focalizing that. And then Saturday night we'll also have a public zikr. So if you know anyone who wants to come either Friday night or Saturday night, people are welcome to bring friends. By donation, they can make a donation to the weekend. And then on Sunday we have a closing circle in the morning. We'll take a break for lunch, and then we have an amazing opportunity to attend a concert with Shabda doing classical Indian music, and he'll be joined by Michael Sterling, who's our local classical Indian music expert, and they share a common teacher of Pandit Pranab, and are a beautiful combination of very different voices singing in a very sacred tradition. And so we'll be having a concert here, which is also open to the public on Sunday afternoon from about 2 to 4, is it probably? Yeah.
2 to 4:30.
Yeah.
2 to
So
4, sounds
yeah, something like that.
Before inshallah.
So the flyers that list all of these sort of parameters of time are orange, so you'll see them on the table when you come in. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask either one of us or anyone who looks like they know what they're doing. Yavash, ask Yavash. If you have any questions, I recommend talking to Yavash. Or Danny, talk to Danny.
Actually, we don't have a karma yoga sign-up sheet because there isn't a lot to do, but we do need some volunteers, and if you're willing to volunteer, come see me.
Particularly after meals. So that would be great if people could just be aware, as we're ending a meal, that's when we need a lot of help. And if you are inspired to do selfless service, that's a great moment to do that.
So,
And at least a half hour before time the meeting, then you need to clear the upstairs hall so we can get clean.
so part of our earth stewardship this weekend is not using too many paper products, which means that there's dishes to clean and efforts to be coordinated around meals. So thank you for that. Yeah. I'll be unlocking, or the hall will be unlocked around 8:30, so you're welcome to. I see, yeah. Yeah. The hall will be open at 8:30.
And lunchtime, is it a set time? Like 12:30?
Yes.
Is that
Is it
12:30?
12:30 to 2?
12:30 to 2. So we'll stop at 12:15, something like that. And then we go till
5 o'clock,
5, and then there's a 2-hour break,
right.
and then 7, the evening programs. Clear, everybody clear?
If there's anything that you are hoping to have included in this weekend, you can talk to me or Shabda, any dance requests or anything else. If you'd like to share a practice or a dance, talk to us.
Should we dance?
Let's dance.
Okay, see you in the middle.